Hi, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I am delighted, excited, and anything else that rhymes with that to be talking with author, creator, Katey Howes. Katey, thank you for jumping in, joining, and talking with me for a few minutes.
Well, thanks for hosting. This is really fun.
Well, I try to be a good host. I would offer you a beverage, but it would destroy our mode of communication, and then I would be over here talking to a broken computer. But just know if I could, I would. I would get like a Hunger Games air thing to bring you a beverage of some kind.
Well,
Um,
thanks so much.
Absolutely. I am going to name a couple of titles, and I usually keep kind of notes around, but you actually have them right behind you there. So the one with the probably the most fun to say up there is Rissy No Kissies. We also have Magnolia Mud, Be a Maker over there, and Woven. I'm going to get that preposition, Woven of the World. And so lots of wonderful creating that you've done, and a wonderful space as well, may I say, displaying those.
It's a very happy space in this space. Just don't make me turn the computer at all, where you will see the piles of notebooks and messes and post-it notes and, real author life.
I was going to say that sounds like an author life, and you have the superpower of engaging young children online for like an hour and a half as well, from what I understand.
They're pretty easily entertained and they often ask really straightforward questions like, what is your dog's name? And what was your favorite book growing up? And
Hmm.
they keep you engaged. So I stay engaged with them. They're way easier to get along with than grown-ups are.
I totally agree with that in so many cases, absolutely. And they have so many excuses as well. It's like, oh, you don't know that yet. Adults, I don't have those kind of excuses for sometimes. But that's a whole other conversation. Um, so curious about what drew you to writing. I'm an English teacher, and so I'm always curious about the authoring path and the lightning that strikes to make that happen.
Yes, and there is no one path. And I think there's an awful lot of lightning out there, which is actually a
Hmm.
wonderful thing. So I honestly was always thought of as the math and science kid. I went to a math and science magnet high school that pulled from like 12 school districts. And everything from the time I started high school was you're going to be a math and science person. And I went to school, I got a master's degree in physical therapy. I worked in neuro rehab and brain injury rehab for years. And I never knew I was going to write a book. I mean, I always wrote in my own time. I always wrote poetry. I always wrote essays, notes to myself, things like that, that were helping me process things, but I
Hmm.
never expected it would be part of my life in the future. And then I had three little kids and they were all under 5. And I said, I need a little break while I'm home with them,
Hmm.
not working full time. And as soon as I realized a little break involves everything being kids all the time, I
Yes.
needed something that was just me. And so the writing sort of became more of a focus. And as they grew and as I grew a lot with them, I found that one of the ways I entertained them was to make up stories for them because they would actually sit still or at least stay close while I was telling them a story. And I was tired. So actually turning pages and looking at words was hard work. So I had to come up with my own. And
Uh,
um, over time, they were really the ones who started telling me that I needed to share that with other people and I needed to put it out in the world more. So I thought I'd write one book. It turned into more than one.
uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
And I love it. I love that I get to chase that. And I love that my children got to watch me literally change careers right in front of them and
Yeah.
have hard times with that and have happy times with that and know that we can do lots of different things with our lives. Like we're not that one career and you're stuck with it kind of world anymore. There's so many options to explore.
Love that. Yeah, yeah. No, you were talking about growing with your children, so I'm curious, are there particular lessons, growing points that you remember as you were starting down the path, if I may ask something that's not on the official list?
Off the list. Yeah, because, you know, as you're parenting, you're learning how to parent and what to say and what to do and when you've made mistakes and things like that. But things that I sort of shared with them that worked, they pushed back at me. So when I told them that you have to share your talents, even when sometimes it's scary to share your talents. They pushed that back at me when I didn't really want to send my books out beyond family and friends. Um, and so they inspired me to grow with that. When sometimes things that I was writing didn't fit the norm
Hmm.
or what
Hmm.
I thought was marketable or typical right now, they pushed me to not try and be typical, which is fabulous because none of them
Yeah,
are, and all of them are wonderful. And I kind of find typical boring a lot of the time, but it sure does feel safe to think about it when you're sending your words out in the world, right? This is a
right.
thing that I think people will see on a shelf and go, oh, yeah, I recognize that. That makes sense to me in that form. I will buy that. It's a scary world to be a little bit off of that track. So
Hmm.
they taught me to do that and they continue to. They still push me really hard. And they're teenagers now, so they push harder and louder, but um, they're great.
Love it. Love it. Now, you were talking about engaging with readers in visits, and I usually ask about one of the questions that's sort of a go-to because I know that kids are just interesting and fun and creative. Those moments where maybe something unexpected happens or something surprising takes place in sort of an interaction with a young reader. And I know sometimes those happen through the mail and sometimes they happen online or in person. So curious if there's a story that comes up that
Oh, good.
speaks to that.
I've had so many wonderful moments, and I will tell you that in general, I'm a fairly introverted person, but not when I'm with a big group of kids. Like I've been a camp counselor and worked with kids in a lot of different situations, and it brings me my best energy. So I've had a lot of fun interactions with kids in places, and I tell people right now, I have this book, A Poem Grows Inside You,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is a poem. And it is about having an idea that's inside you like a seed that can lie dormant for a long time until the conditions are right for it. And that literally happened because of a kid at a school visit. When we talked about be a maker, we talk about um, how makers of all different types, so authors, artists, inventors, how they don't always have what they need to take
Hmm.
their ideas from idea to the actual project. And so we write things down in notebooks, whether you're Einstein or, a famous Picasso artist or something like that. You write some ideas down because you don't always have what you need. And one of the kids in one of the school visits was just like, hey, 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 hey. And I was like, yes. And he was like, so like a seed, it can sit, it can wait, it can sit and it can wait until you have what you need, like a seed. I was like, oh, this kid, he's got it. And then everybody was in on it. And I'm like, yes, yes, we need to do that. And we talked about it some as a group. And I was like, I have to write that. I have to write that because I've been feeling that and not having the words for it. And clearly, kids recognize that. Like
Hmm.
sometimes things start to go into a book or a story or a poem, and we feel like maybe it's above and beyond kids. And it's hardly ever above and beyond kids. They're above and beyond the rest of us because they don't limit themselves as much as we seem to. So I knew it was something kids could understand and think about and feel too, that they have things, ideas that they're just holding on to until they have the right skills for them or the right team to do it with or the right materials, and that it's okay to hold on to them, that they're not going to go bad. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned the one title I had in my notes that I didn't mention. So, wonderful book up there as well, just right above you.
Oh, the Be a Maker?
Oh no,
Or
sorry, the poem
okay,
inside you.
the poem inside you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was inside you. That's one of my newer ones, and I've been exceptionally proud of it. I had no idea how well it would hit people's just sort of sense that they too have things that they can be comfortable with the idea that things lay dormant for a while, that we don't have to
Mhm.
do everything today. I think I've always felt like I need to do it now. And the idea that things can sit, that they can wait, that the right circumstances are going to come later is a reassuring thing for a lot of us. So it's been really fantastic sharing that one. I got to go to the National Book Festival this
Nice.
past year with the illustrator as well, and we got to give away 100 copies of the book to kids from all over the states. Like it was so exciting. I've never had anything like that, and it was amazing.
There's
Yeah.
nothing like giving books to kids. I've never had a book of my own to give to a child that I've written, but I love that feeling of any book that you can hand off and go, this is yours now.
Yes, it's fantastic. It really is amazing. And to get to do it with my own, I mean, it's mind-blowing for me. I never knew that was going to be something I'd get to do with my life, and I was amazed. And to do it with the illustrator beside me, who is an
Mhm.
amazing person. Oh my gosh, like it gets better all the time. Some things are pretty awesome in the writing life. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of downtime and alone time and kicking yourself time, but there's some amazing moments.
In the midst of all those notebooks and post-its and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask what you typically like to share with readers in your work, but that's a very tangible, like getting to hand over your work in that way. But anything else that is kind of a thread for you that you like to make sure that kids are aware of through your books?
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it at first, but the more things that sort of made it through the system and out onto the market, you write stories that don't go anywhere, but the things that
Hmm.
make it through, my critique partners are actually amazing humans. And they pointed out to me after a couple books came out that everything that was making its way through the system brought up like autonomy for the children, like helping them realize that even though you're small, even though you're young, you are yourself and you get to make choices for yourself and be yourself and stand up for yourself.
Hmm.
Um, and that they are creative and that they are impactful. Like that what you do actually does make a difference. It's not just a small thing that can be ignored or tucked away or,
Hmm. Hmm.
hidden in your tiny little world. You make real change. And so I try to make sure that with every book, we're bringing some of that spirit of the autonomy and the impact at a way that kids really engage with it and sort of bring it inside themselves to know that and feel that. I try
Yeah.
anyway.
Love it. Yeah, love that. Um, I think I have one more official question on my list.
Oh,
Just one more. And we can, of course, talk about any others, anything that we might have missed. And that is what is next creatively? What's currently got your attention? And you can hint at it, talk about it, whatever works best for you there in terms of the process. And then, of course, I always like to ask about if people want to get in touch for school visits, if they want to see your work and find out more, the places where people can go to do that.
well, that is awesome. And obviously you understand publishing where sometimes you can say things and sometimes you can't. I'm still
Yes.
getting the feel for that. Things I can say, I have a book coming out in June. This very
Lovely.
fancy printed out cover that I printed off of the internet and stuck on a piece of cardboard. It's called The Reindeer Remainders.
Nice,
It is a
nice.
math story with plenty of heart. And, I am a math person. I am a math and
Mhm.
science lover. So anytime I can work those themes into books, it makes me happy. But this actually does something I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to really do well. And it brings math together with like socio-emotional learning. So we
Mhm.
have these reindeer who are used to a class of 12. They're used to splitting up into groups, you pairs or you groups of three. They get a new student, so there's 13. We
Ah.
got prime numbers, baby. And I love a
Mhm.
good prime number story. Someone keeps getting left out. Different reindeer get left out when they split into groups, and they react differently to being left out, just like all kids do. Kids have different reactions to being the one who isn't in a group. Some are thrilled about it. Some are like, yes, I can do this on my own. Some feel very uncomfortable with it. So we talk about, the way you handle that division into groups and the way a group can do that together. And we talk about math and numbers, and it's super fun. And it's illustrated by Maria Hermanson, who does incredible job of like combining nature and making things very accurate to nature, but also making them really fun and cute for kids. So it makes me really happy. And that's all I can think about right now because it comes out in June. And I'm actually going to the American Library Association conference in June out in California, which I have never done as like published author talking about stuff. And I'll be
Mhm.
talking about poetry in the classroom and community with a wonderful group of authors there, which is going to be so much fun. So it's like all my energy is on that. But as you mentioned, I'm also looking at school visits and things like that. And it's so
Mhm.
nice that I can do them online or do them in person because there's a little more spread on that way.
Mhm.
And if people are interested, I'm online. It's kateyhowes.com. It's pretty complicated. And there's a contact form there. But I've also had people just find me on social media, on Instagram or things like that, and send me a message, and we end up setting things up so that we can have a little conversation and work out details that way too. So yeah, I mean, I try to be easy to find.
Apparently you are. I found you, and it's
You
been a
found me?
delightful
Yeah.
conversation. Absolutely. You are out there creating, and love the idea of bringing math and prime numbers into a picture book as well. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that seemed like it seemed obvious to me, but maybe not to everybody, that kids who are quite young can understand a prime number and can understand grouping and remainders if you put it in a very straightforward, relatable way. And
Hmm.
it happens all the time in real life when you're splitting things into groups, either stuff on your plate or, toys amongst friends or actual people. And so I really wanted to put that story out there, and it was so much fun. And I don't know, we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, yeah, very cool, very cool. Glad that you're also stopping by ALA. There are so many wonderful conferences out there and wonderful places for people to connect and share about literature. So glad that that's happening. Have we missed anything in our talk through that is burning on your heart to share?
Burning on my heart to share. Well, I don't know. It's almost dinner time, so that's the thing burning the most. My kids are making weird noises in the background. They finished finals today for this trimester, so they are full of energy right now.
Oh,
Um,
awesome,
and
awesome.
I would
Yeah.
say one of the great things that I can share is that having teenagers who actually care about your writing is pretty awesome, because they will read through things and tell me more honestly than anyone, including my experienced published critique partners, what is not going to work. They are so straightforward, and they will tell me what does work. And that is magic. So I love that I can still share that with them too.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spend my days with teenagers as a high school teacher. So my students are not doing finals right now, but they are getting ready to come up on the end of the quarter. So sounds like lots of good things to celebrate. And what a great team of beta readers you have.
They really are pretty awesome and
Yeah.
honest.
Yes, yes. Yeah. My students tend to critique my wardrobe more than anything else, but
Ooh.
I'd need to start sharing some writing as well to see what they think about that.
You should absolutely be doing that. I've been finding lately that sharing poetry with people, even if it's not very good poetry, is a great way to connect. And yeah, teenagers are all ready to critique your poetry.
Wonderful. We will try it tomorrow.
Sounds good. Well,
All
thank
right.
you so much for hosting. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure, Katie. Glad to have you back anytime as you're talking about projects and exploring and sharing ideas.
Fantastic. Thank you.